So what we want to do is, next is talk about our on-arrival questions. So since we're doing chapter 5, which is blocks to empathy, our question is, what is your favorite empathy roadblock and why is it? You know, just share a little bit about why it's your favorite roadblock, or, you know, what happens for you around it. And so we'll stop there and I'll share mine. So just going down the list, my favorite one is detachment. So I don't know how that even developed, you know, maybe just in my family, my way of kind of dealing with situations was sort of to pull myself out of it and to kind of look at it from a distance. So if there's a conflict or something, kind of withdraw from it, look at it from a distance. And I think that by kind of detaching, I can kind of get a view of it and kind of have more freedom and more space around the conflict. And but then I've kind of developed that over time, I find. And I'll be in situations like, you know, in a group or something, I just find myself starting to pull away and, you know, just to, I don't know, but I feel, it feels a little painful too, because then I feel kind of detached and alone. So I'm trying to develop more of an empathic, you know, response instead of detachment, to be more engaged and to listen and to reflect and connect. So that's my favorite roadblock. And Mimi, yours?
When I first read the question, I thought that I was asked to write about what is the thing other people tell me, and just drives me crazy. But I don't know, can I talk about it, or should I just say about what I do?
Yeah, I could do both. Yeah.
Okay, my super favorite is when people say, oh, you know what, after a year you're gonna laugh with this. And this really makes me very angry, because the moment we face something, we have a difficulty, is a huge problem for us. And even if it's not so serious for the other person, it is for us. And I don't think that I care about what I'm going to do in a year from now, but I know that this very moment I find myself in trouble. So when somebody tells me that you're gonna laugh after some time, just really makes me angry. Now,
I didn't quite understand that. When somebody tells you what?
That my problem is not very serious, and after a year, I'm gonna laugh with this. I'm gonna laugh with
okay.
Things will get better.
Yeah, things will get better is a little better, but I mean, yeah, still the moment things get better. They are a mess right now.
So are you saying that people tell you things will get better and that irritates you? So that's like a roadblock to empathy.
I want to hear this, and I'm gonna laugh with the situation after a year, because now I'm in trouble and I just want somebody to listen to my problem, might give me a solution if there is, or just to listen to me. I mean, people don't have a solution all the time, and this is not the most important thing when it comes to communication. You just want a person who cares about you and listens, is eager to listen to you. So this is something that really annoys me. Now,
so that's a roadblock that annoys you that other people do to you, is when they dismiss what you're saying and they say it'll get better and they try to console you. And
yes, yeah.
So that's okay. And then you've got one for what you do.
Yes, it might be something like stop complaining and do something about it. Because as a person, I'm not passive at all. So whenever there is, reason for me to fight and just come up with a solution, I'm just a fighter. I'm a go-getter and just have to solve it. I mean, I cannot stay pathetically and just, say this is life and whatever. I want to improve things. So I feel that this is what we should do. But sometimes it seems that people don't like it, and they just feel more comfortable to leave the things the way they are. So
okay, well, that sounds like maybe fixing you try to fix the situation.
Yes, I try to fix, right.
So
I always
fixing.
try to fix things, always, no matter what the problem is, always, yeah.
Okay, so that's a block of trying to fix. Okay. You feel heard? Is that,
yes.
Okay, so great, thanks. Stefan?
I think I put advising and, let me see, I forgot what it was. I put advising and persuading. Well, as a physician, you're often, you've got diabetes and your hemoglobin A1C is 12. You've got to change your diet. You've got to take this medication every day. And, but it doesn't take a lot more work, I think, to add some empathy into the interaction. But in general, physicians are not trained to provide empathy. And often they think that it will, make the interaction longer. I think there's a lot of, I don't know about all the evidence, but I've certainly seen a lot of narrations, video narrations and things of examples of where physicians have just listened and provided a little bit of empathy, and it's gone a long way towards moving the interaction along in the right direction. But if you just start with here's what you need to do, the advising part, and not give much empathy, sometimes the patient will, just come back with reasons why they can't do it, or why it's not going to work, or they've already tried that, or et cetera, and they just don't feel like they've been listened to. So,
okay. So what I'm hearing there is advising. So as a physician, your job is to advise people about their health. But if you go directly into the empathy block of advising, people may not respond. So you're seeing the importance of maybe a bit of empathy up front before you give the advice.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Ingrid?
I want to make two comments first before I talk about what I wrote. And how Demetra said, what is it that other people do that drive her crazy? What blocks that other people do? That would be another good check-in. One of our questions to add that. It's not only what ones, well, I'm not sure how to word it, but it's not only what ones do we go to more, but what do other people do that we don't like? And then this is just something I want to make note of to talk about later. It's kind of like, so when that happens, when someone is doing a block on me, what's the best way for me to respond? Usually I just kind of listen to it, or I kind of ignore it, and I recognize what they're doing, but I don't ever. I wish there was some way to address it in a way that felt okay. Or do you see him? Will you repeat? Will you?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing
not sure
is
if I'm being clear.
Yeah, you're saying that we have this question. It's like, what is your favorite empathy roadblock and why? And that's sort of us being empathic that we block. But you're talking about like, how do people block empathy towards us? And so it's sort of like, what empathy roadblock really bothers you and why? Is sort of maybe more of another question that would be good to ask.
Right.
And also, not only can we ask that, like, what bugs you? Like Mimi had one that, the advising or whatever that bothered her from other people. But how do you respond to that when someone is not giving you empathy?
Yes.
And giving you a block to empathy? How do you kind of make a request or whatever to have address this, and what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, and does he address that in the book? Do you know?
Not that I remember. No, I don't remember, but that, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great, I can't remember him specifically addressing that.
Okay.
I did make a
So
write it
that's
down.
kind of a gap.
Yeah, I wrote it down, so we'll definitely make that into a question.
Okay. And then my analysis, I use analysis quite, or I at least see it now. So I wouldn't say I use it as much because I recognize it. So I've kind of stopped it. But analysis, some advising and judgment, you know, and it's the judgment's always just in my head. I don't often say the judgment to them, but I find myself, if someone says something I disagree with, I find myself saying, how can they say that? That's crazy or something. But then I'm judging them, so I can't really hear them when I notice that thought, when I notice my brain doing that. So those are my...
Yeah, any thoughts on
ones.
how those became important to you? Like how did that come about that you...
Yes, I think because my dad was a professor, so knowledge was was really important in our family. And if you could come to the table with knowledge, you were rewarded. And so advising is a way, you know, advising is kind of like, I have information that you need kind of thing. So that's, I think that's part of it. Why sharing advice. And then I think analysis is important just because of I like to understand what's going on. And so.
Okay, so it sounds like you have some clarity about where those traits came from. And one is that you had it in your family, being from an academic family, that kind of advice giving and advising was kind of valued, as well as analyzing and how things work kind of gives you some pleasure. Sounds like it actually feels good. And
also I think judgment comes in there too, probably from the academic judging, you know, what's good, what's bad. And
okay, so the academics is about advising and judgment. Okay, academia. Okay, cool.
So I feel heard.
Okay.
Heard.
Well, maybe we could even try that. I was thinking when we do the on arrival question, what we could do is a rotating reflection. Like I reflected all three of you, so maybe next time Stefan could reflect everyone. And then we'll just rotate on the on arrival question. It'd be a way to practice reflection as well as, so that's, and so I will stop the